All right, so today we're going to go through how to add education content to the carwashshow.com. So all of the filtering options that were outlined in our initial Excel wireframe here will be driven by categories. And then the display information, the title, the path icon, the room, the time, the speaker name, and the summary, and the categories here all relate back to fields or content areas within Sitefinity that you'll be populating. So let's go through and explain how this is actually going to work. So first, let's log into Sitefinity. Once you're there, you're going to be going into content. So before we ever get into populating an event, what I'm going to want you to do to make your life easier is to go to content and then go to images. At this point, you're going to want to upload all of your speakers' headshots into the appropriate library. So I've gone ahead and created a spot for you to do that. Underneath TCWS 2019, when you click into that, there is a speaker headshots folder, or library rather, already created for you. So you can just upload images as you have them. Make sure that as you upload them, you also take the time to go into their individual properties and make sure that their alternative text makes sense, that the title makes sense, so that you don't have, a title of img2476.jpg, because that'll be bad for just overall searchability and usability of the site. So you can see some of that stuff happens down there, but ultimately where you start, load all your headshots, go through, clean them up, make sure they all have appropriate alt tags, and then once you've got your headshots in place, you're going to come back to content and you're going to click on events. And then from the events section, we'll go ahead and we'll click into this impact session one that I started already for an example. But if this was a fully done, ready to rock and roll education session for you, the easiest thing to do really is to come over to actions and click on duplicate, and that'll open it up into a new window for you to edit within, and you can just add sessions based on previously completed sessions. Now if you wanted to create it from scratch, you can do that too. It's no big deal. You just simply click create an event. But I'm going to go in and we're going to act as though we've already done some of those steps to create the actual event, and we'll walk through this version that is here. So it's a relatively straightforward process. For title, that's going to be your session title. You're going to put that in. And then everything down in this content section here, this is just a WYSIWYG editor that's going to be what populates your details page. So in the session details, all of this full description stuff, this is basically going to be populated by what you're doing in this section. So you can see here we've got the title at the top, presented by Doug Stevens. Here's the full description of the session. Here's his headshot that we've inserted, and then just his bio included in there. Within here, you've got more formatting options that you can look at if you need to, but you can also look directly at the HTML code to make modifications within there. To add that image, you just, like any other WYSIWYG editor, you're going to add the image and you're going to select it from your appropriate library. And there's some options. Let's go ahead and look at this one. Let's look at the properties so we can see what's going on here. You'll want to, if they are going to in fact be squares like this with hard edges, you want to make sure that you click into the margin section and give it a little bit of a margin so that your text isn't flowing on top of it. And then you've got some alignment options to let it float left or float right. And again, you can alter the title and alternative text for these in here as well for our SEO efforts. And then as we scroll down from that, now that we've got all of our content in to the WYSIWYG editor, the summary section right here, you're going to want to have your brief summary populated there, and that's going to be what shows up on that initial filtering page. Let's just go back to it real quickly. So this session summary right here is going to be populated by this summary here. So you can paste into that. That is just a standard text field. And then you're going to select the event's start time. So this is all going to be based on a pretty traditional calendar. Note that your times will be in military time. and you'll never want to do anything with repeat event. That's a if you were hoping to be able to use that to have sessions that would go maybe would occur twice, that's not going to get that done for you. That actually creates like recurring monthly or recurring daily kind of events that happen at the same time. So then once you're through this section, you're going to have to add the appropriate categories to get these to show up where you want them to. So I'm going to go ahead and I've already added some categories, but I'll click into change so you can see what's going to show up. The categories that you are interested in: TCWS Times, Education Audience, Education Topic, and then you skip over the magazine ones and come down here and you've got Education Session Type and Pass Type. Under Pass Type, that's going to determine Premium or Basic Pass, right? Education Session Type is all going to be determined here. So these are all the categories that we had outlined. And then if we come back up, you can also see the education topic, if for which that applies, and then the audiences for which it applies, and then the times. So the times is an important piece because that enables the appropriate kind of time filtering options, assuming that those are still remaining in place. So how we've done this is the 8 o'clock on Monday slot is here. Then you've got a 9:15 Monday, a 10:30 Monday. We've bundled the quick hits times into one thing. And then we've got 8 a.m. Tuesday, 9:15 Tuesday, 10:30 Tuesday, 8 a.m. Wednesday, and then the seminars are the 100 seminars. That's 1 o'clock seminars that have traditionally been the New Investor Seminar and Emerging Leaders seminars on the day before the show. So these times are important to populate. And then once you've got the categories that you need, just hit done. You'll see them there. You're going to come down, and this is that section of the calendar that I mentioned where you need to be really sure that you make sure that that is not on default calendar. That needs to be on TCWS Education Sessions. And then as you continue to scroll down, if this does have a path icon, you'll load that there. You can load that ahead of time as well. If you like, you can load those into your preferred library and then just select it from there. And then you can ignore this register URL. That's in use in other places. But the room will populate room back on the summary page. And speaker name is important to populate here as well, to populate speaker name on that summary page. Once you're done here, you'll hit publish. So I'll just go ahead and put his name in here so that we have it. What's his name? Doug Stevens. And you'll hit publish. And so this impact session, the future of consumerism, is supposed to be on May 13th at 8 a.m. And you can see that if we refresh this page here, and there's the impact session, the future of consumerism, and you click into it, and there is all the information. Obviously, all the CSS you'll be able to modify and manipulate as you need to, but that's the basic task of loading the content into Sitefinity.